Welcome to the Antonio Parkinson Project. Today we're asking this question. Is it in the best interest of the child to have both parents equally involved in the child's life?
God gave a child two parents, and they need both in most cases for balance. When we as a society remove one of the child's parents from the child's life, we take the child out of his or her natural balance. It is the child's God-given right to have access to both parents whenever possible.
Also, we're talking to an expert. We got the doctor in the building who's going to speak on the effects of lopsided parenting, Angelika. Lastly, we have retired Memphis police officer who has seen it all, and he offers a very interesting perspective, or three perspectives, as a matter of fact, on this whole subject. So don't go anywhere. Hit that subscribe button. We'll be right back. You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project. Oh, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. I didn't even get a chance to hug my friend. I ain't seen her in 1,000 years. But look,
at myself first.
Yeah, no, you look great on camera. Actually, you're killing it. Look, just don't look back there at the camera. Look. Yeah, y'all crazy. Hey, welcome back to the Antonio Parkinson Project. You're watching the fastest growing visual podcast in the Memphis market. Let's go, baby. Come on, y'all. We're doing that shit. This is why, though, these types of topics, right? You know, y'all give it up for my lovely co-host who has been darting in and out. She was hangry, but she looks a little better now.
Lively.
Angelika Jelly. Yeah, Angelika Jelly Woods in the building. Angelika, what's that you drinking?
He said, "Oh, it's not Sam.
No.
You can get the meal, or you can get. I'm on a budget. You can get this. You can get this slice of pizza or a hot dog.
Man,
$1.50. Everybody
has. I asked Nicole to
cup you up. Cup
you up. Baby Nicole got a whole attitude, okay? She got an attitude.
You needed, right? But we got you. We got you covered. We got you covered. Y'all give it up for my DJ. That's my DJ. DJ Kojak in the building. Let's go, DJ Kojak. Kojak.
Give it to me.
Scratch it up for the doctor four times, man. For the doctor.
Let's do it.
Let's see this. Oh, she's from Orange Mound. Let me ask you this. Is it still Dr. Futrell? Or is it? Okay, Dr. Futrell. Did you hear that scratch?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
3 fingers round.
She sure did.
Oh, that's
Okay,
two rounds.
Teach us how to do it. Okay. That's how you know she's really from Orange Mound.
Hey, she ain't playing with Dr. Naricia Futrell. You know, she's always been my shero. I've always thought the world of her. Even though she be kicking me to the curb and stuff sometimes. She be like, "Gone,
he never called nobody his shero."
Gone, but no, I just think the world of the word. Hey, tell them how we met. You remember how we met? You remember?
In Nashville, right?
No, ma'am. We met on Macon Road when your son was involved in a little yep, that's right. You remember that?
Oh, trauma.
Right. Back in my fire department days, right? I responded to a call.
Oh my God,
and you know, her son, I won't tell, you know, I'll let you tell if you want to tell it. Right. Oh, well, yeah. Well, you tell it then.
Well, I mean, you know, this was just one of those situations, you know, things happen and people immediately jump to conclusions, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm at work and my son, he was coming home from school. He had gotten off of the school bus yet because my voice little, so, okay. Mm-hmm. So he gotten off the school bus and he was walking home and he had to cross over Macon Road in order to get home. And a vehicle hit his hand. Thankfully, it wasn't him, right? He's walking and he's trying to go by. So a car zooms around and hits his hand. So they call me and they're like, your son got hit by a car. And I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. Hit by a car? That's not like, you know, you don't tell a parent that. But I was only 7 minutes away at the time. I worked very close by, but what happened was a vehicle stopped to allow my son to cross at the crosswalk like they were supposed to. And an impatient person decided to come around, and he whooped around and he hit my baby. Yeah.
And guess who responded to that call?
You did.
It
came
was
through.
I.
He came through.
You know, as a lieutenant on the fire department, you know, and the hero, you know,
And the hero. And the hero.
Number one, I checked on the young lad, right? Made sure he was all right, right? And y'all, he was all right. And
He
look,
was. Thank you.
and then there was this emotional mom.
I
right?
was very hysterical.
So I had to console her. So I had to console her.
Because I wanted to know where he was. Right, he hit my baby. Where did he go?
Right.
And he was there. He stayed.
Yeah.
He did. He stayed.
But that's how we met.
Yeah.
That's how we met. Yeah, that's how we met. And I've been her hero ever since, though.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
You know, I'm just kidding.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. But look, Dr. Naricia Futrell, first of all, thank you for being here. And it was short notes. I really, truly appreciate you being here.
Thank you for
we had to have you for this show, right? And what we've been talking about is, I had legislation that would say it is in the best interest of the child to have both parents involved in the child's life. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to bring you here to speak to. And we hadn't prepped her. She asked me, so this is her first time hearing most of this, right? Speak to in the cases that you hear. You've been doing this for how long now?
It's telling my age. Let's just say it's been more than 2 decades.
Okay, you're seasoned. She's seasoned, y'all. She's seasoned. And so you've seen it all, just basically,
just
right?
About.
And she is a licensed clinical social worker. So everybody, I just want to qualify everything. In fact, you qualify yourself. Tell everybody what you do.
Well, my doctorate is in social work. I have a master's in social work and my bachelor's is in psychology. And I'm a licensed clinical social worker here in the state of Tennessee, in Arkansas, Texas, and Mississippi.
All right, now. So, what is the difference that you see between children that have, as much equal time with parents versus the children that have less time with one and a whole lot more with another?
Well, I mean, even describing it that way, there's a clear imbalance, right? Mm-hmm. You have a mother and a father in the home, then they create a balance for the child. Mm-hmm. There are just things that men provide that women, we just cannot provide.
Say it one more time.
There are things that men in the home can provide that women cannot.
Okay.
We can do a lot of things. Mm-hmm. We can probably do most things, and we think we can do everything, but fathers are needed in the home. And so, and even vice versa, sometimes, which is rare, but sometimes a child is raised by their father and the mom is missing. So there's a whole emotional thing that is missing as well. So you see children and they have both parents, there's a bit of a better balance. There's never anything perfect because parents aren't perfect. But when you have one that's missing, there seems to be a lot missing for the kid. And think about just even with 2 parents in the household, both parents can't be everywhere all the time. So what does that look like when it's one parent? That's even less time that this one parent can be where this child needs them to be in different areas of their lives. So, I mean, we see a lot of children who have a lot of behavioral issues, right? And a lot of that stems from the alienation of affection or the parental alienation that they have to face because there's an absent parent. So,
do you think it's the same with co-parenting? Because you keep saying in the house. Do you see the same effect if the people are, let's say, positively or they have a good balance of co-parenting? Because sometimes they can't be in the home. Even with my situation, we have a blended family. My husband is not obviously in his children's home, but do you see a difference in that if they're co-parenting?
That depends, right?
Okay.
Because it's levels to everything.
Yeah, okay. Let's do these levels now.
Some people claim they be co-parenting. And they don't be co-parenting.
Well, you can have a daddy in the home. He claim he a daddy. He ain't no daddy.
True.
Because people think that's what we're going to make
time.
We're going to make a time real quick.
Struck a nerve.
We're going to make a time.
That's true. That's true. But the positive piece to the co-parenting is if, and you are correct, the parent doesn't have to be in the home. But when I say levels, right, best case scenario, 2 people are emotionally mature and they decide to have children and they can make their relationship work, not for the children, but because they want it to work and the children get the benefit of that. That's our top, right? Our next level would be, okay, it don't work out. I don't like you no more. I don't want you to stay here no more. You go stay there and I stay here, right? But we're going to co-parent, and we co-parent still with emotional intelligence. Where I'm short, you fill in and vice versa. And the child benefits from that. Then we start to trickle down with these other things. Okay, well, you over there and I'm over here, and you can't see the baby because I don't like you no more. And don't be taking her around him and die. And then it just gets worse and worse. And then, you know, we get the bottom levels where a child is completely alienated from one or both parents for whatever reason. But co-parenting works when people co-parent, right? And that can be difficult because people's egos get in the way and they forget that the child is supposed to be the primary.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Even running this legislation, it was, I had members accusing me of trying to reduce child support and this, that, and other. And I'm absolutely in no form, even in that space of child support. I'm in the space because I see the stuff that's happening with our kids, right? And we know that they are out of balance. So I like to walk people through this, and I shouldn't have rushed through that statement. When God gave kids two parents for a reason, right? If that was the case, we'd all be asexual around here, literally reproducing ourselves, right?
Right.
And so he gave, these kids. God gave kids two parents, and now let's shift from the parents to the child's God-given right to be able to have access to his or her two parents. That's a human right to me, right? And it has nothing to do with child support. It has nothing to do. It's just a human right because, again, we said this in the previous segment. The relationship may be broken between the two adults, but it doesn't mean that the relationship is broken between the child and the mother or the child and the father.
Right. Right.
But sometimes people try to make it broken.
They do.
They bring it and
it's interesting because the argument, again, y'all, the argument was that the argument from the Tennessee Bar Association was that this is not in the best interest of the child. And I, for the life of me, don't understand how you can say a child having both parents in their lives is not in the best interest of their child, absent, an abusive parent or this, that, and other.
Other factors.
Yeah. I mean,
that's confusing.
It's and we're going to get into this in the next segment because I don't want to jump ahead, but there's policies that have literally driven separation of parents, from each other, and it's affecting the child. I say that child is out of balance when that one or the other is not there in the amount of time, the most important part to me, time, when that amount of time is not given to that child. And so that child misses parts of development to me in my estimation. But I'm not the doctor. You're the doctor.
Even with the doctor, just actually something, even with the parents that's involved, I don't think they're factoring the not the emotional intelligence or the mental state of parenting, because that's a lot for 80% to be on one parent.
This single parent life ain't what y'all want. This is not what you want. Don't be out here thinking that the grass is greener. Don't be out here starting these problems with these men that really want to be in their kids' lives. Because being a single mom, being a single parent is not a badge of honor. It's not something that I wear proudly, the fact that I'm raising my kids alone. I co-parent with one parent and I'm doing the shit by myself with the other one. This is not what y'all want. I'm telling y'all, and I would tell anybody, if you can work it out, if you can try to fix the relationship, if it's something minor, something trivial, try to fix it, because raising these kids by yourself, not having a break when you need a break, having to mentally train and teach manners and deal with behavior in school, and this battle ain't what y'all want, y'all. If that man wants to be in his child's life, let him be. And the child's like, stop fighting him to be a parent.
Like, how many people sit in your chair? And because I'm sorry, I was like, if I had to be a baby mama, like, I'm be one of them ones. We gonna be 50-50. Like, soon I'm running the clock. Ain't gonna be no tools, nothing. Like,
that's a great point.
We do. There ain't no even days of the week. We gonna be at whatever 3.5 to make that 7, because I believe you should have equal access. Because you almost like letting it be okay for this person to live their free care life, and 80% you just being a weekend parent, and that's a lot to figure out on one person.
Kodak, did you hear what she just said though?
I heard that.
She said you just letting this person live his free life.
I wouldn't be a better baby mama. Like, I don't know.
The motivation is for him not to live his free life.
By
any means necessary.
It is.
I get
Listen to me. I don't care.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Motherhood, it ain't no hood like motherhood. Okay, record this. It is a very hard task to raise a child. So I always question women, and he gonna clip me for this, that keep their child away from the dad. It's like, you let him get away, like that's not getting him back. Like,
but how stressful is that to women? What are you hearing on your couch
crazy?
When they come in and lay on your couch?
You getting your kids.
Look, this is how I see. Angelika, this is how I see her office. When they come in and lay on your couch, right? What are the moms saying that are exhausted from being a single mom?
Well, I mean, she kind of described it like being a parent is another job, right? You know, just if I'm working and I'm a single parent, I'm gonna say parent, because there are a few fathers that I know that have their kids.
I had my
right?
older daughter, right?
And that's a lot of work. So you get up and you go to work and you take your kid where they need to be. When you get off work, you are not done working because your child needs you. Your child needs you to show up for homework. They need you for guidance. They need to, oh Lord, if you got a teenage daughter, she needs emotional support. You got to cook. You got to make sure that the house is in order. And then you crash and then you start all over again. So there is no downtime, which is why it's a great balance when you have another parent that can say, hey, let me do my part. And it's not for the other parent, but that's where the parents get caught.
You're going to do your part. You're going to do your part.
But I get where she's coming from, because that's usually where the argument goes, right? It usually starts with, well, I don't want him or her to have my baby around this other person, or you didn't want to be with me.
I use them as tools.
You're using them as pawns. And so then it's like, well, I'm going to punish you by not letting you get your kid. Or the opposite of, no, I'm going to make you get your baby, and this person doesn't want the kid, and they do something
I'll be on that end. You're going to get your baby. I'm sorry. You're going to get them.
I'd be gladly taking mine, because I'd be scared of the decisions some of these folks would be making for mine. So I want mine close to me.
Parkins, I got to ask you a question. Did you ever pay child support?
Never. I never had to, because...
Kojak, did you pay child support?
I had the children. What you talking about?
Okay,
right. Me and Kojak
I'm asking y'all.
Look, me and Kojak
I was seeking child support and never got it.
Okay.
Right.
I'm just asking.
No, it didn't work. I always advise people, do not bring the state in your shit if you ain't got to bring them in.
If you can help it, you should. Yeah. And with the way things are moving now, and the bills that they're putting in place now, if you can avoid, then don't. Yeah. But I always say, if everybody keep their legs closed a little longer, now we're going to hit it. It might be a different subject, right?
Right.
But you know what I say too? When people talk about their baby mamas and baby daddies, I tell my husband this: don't talk about nobody now. You wouldn't talk about it when her leg was open and X, Y, Z. So I'll let he's not disrespectful. I'm not saying he watching right now. Let me say I'm disrespectful. But we do that. We end up bashing the ex-wife, bashing them, because they do that a lot. They bash them. They do. But they was just fine when Paul was playing between your legs. I mean, don't talk about Paul today. Kathy Sue was it?
Sue.
I'm trying to make sure. People done tag somebody. Right. Kathy, she talking about this clickbait to start some stuff online.
Kathy Sue.
Let me say
fine.
How does that affect the child when one parent is bashing the other parent?
We're
gonna go down the world. You're gonna make me.
It's horrible because I'll say this. What I try to explain to those parents, if I have the opportunity to talk to one, is that you have to understand you are talking to somebody who loves two different people. And it's not fair for you to tell this child something negative about the person that they love just because you don't love them anymore.
You better.
If the person is not abusive, if they're not causing harm, keep your mouth closed.
Yeah.
Because one thing about it, we all grow up and we learn people, right?
Thank
You don't need to teach your child who the other parent is. They're going to learn.
Thank you.
Just let them have
Thank
this
you.
relationship if it's not detrimental. If it's
Thank
not
you.
abusive, let's put that out there because people like to throw out the worst case scenarios. We're not talking about abuse. We're talking about parents who are just going through their own mess.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
But don't bad talk, and don't allow other people to bad talk the other parent in front of the child.
Right.
Because sometimes that's the case.
Can I say this too? I always say this. I said, who he was as your boyfriend is different than who he is as a dad.
Absolutely.
Just who my dad is, who my dad as a dad is different who he was as a husband. I thank God I had a wise mom. Not saying I don't know anything about my dad outside of what my dad wanted me to know.
Well, he was a pimp.
Yeah, but I knew that. Or I learned.
And a preacher.
Yeah, and he's a preacher. He wasn't a preacher when he was a pimp, though.
That's not uncommon in the South.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
He's actually from Chicago. Yeah. He was
pimping ain't dead. These hoes just dead.
But I had wise parents or whatever. I don't know what type of boyfriend he was. I don't know because my mom didn't.
It wasn't your business.
Thank you. These kids, they be telling all your business, who your boy, who did what. It's like, and we don't have the intelligence to separate, and not take it personal, or kids don't have it, or to take sides. We barely can do it. Yes, we barely can do it now, but they're privy to all this information for what? It's just like, and I tell people on the other side, it's okay, just keep doing what you're supposed to do. And like you said, time tells all things, so they'll be able to see what was what, and hopefully it don't be too late, but be able to figure it out on their own. It's sad, but anyways.
What do you say to the parent that feel like that they didn't do enough? It was one parent and they went through it. They did everything, and then make them feel like they didn't do enough. What do you tell them to keep their sanity?
And you talking about the child saying it, or
the
child or the child?
The parent feeling like
they're not the
they didn't do
parent.
because they got, like you said, they got to work. They got there's a lot of stuff that fall in the cracks.
Yeah.
And they may feel like, man, I didn't do everything that I could have done. What do you tell them?
Now you're talking as the child has become an adult.
Yeah.
Well, two things. What is enough?
Step up to that microphone. Step up to that microphone while you're saying
it.
Yeah.
What is enough? What are you basing that off of? Because a lot of times people are basing that off of something that's unrealistic or an expectation that someone outside of the situation has set. And, advice is easily given, but it's not easily taken. So you have to decide what's enough. And if you and your now adult child are at odds about something, I'm still not the person to define that. You need to talk to this kid and figure out, hey, this kid who's now an adult, where do you feel like I fell short? And be ready to listen and not be that parent that immediately says, I did the best I could. You may have, but you didn't get to decide that was good enough for that kid. And now you're creating another issue by being dismissive and saying that.
They ain't ready for that. Now, you don't hit a turn. They ain't
Oh,
ready for that response.
We in the rabbit hole now. We in the rabbit hole.
They wasn't ready for that turn.
Let me ask you this. Thank you, Kodak, for that question. Kodak just got some free shit. That's what he does.
He ain't got to get on the couch.
I can just answer here.
I'll build you later.
Yeah, right. But let me ask you this. Along those lines, how important is it for adults to apologize to their children in those scenarios if that was the case?
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
It's very important. And we, because I'm a parent, right? We have to get out of our own ways when one of our children says, this hurt me, this offended me, this bothered me. And you immediately get that feeling of, your feathers get ruffled and you want to defend yourself. Well, you're just going to make it worse. Hear them out, and if the perspective is not what you thought it to be, that can be a discussion, but you shut the discussion down when you immediately say, well, I did the best I could. They don't want to hear that. Not these kids now. We might have been able to take that because we also were taught not to have a voice,
and
right?
Not to ask why.
And not to ask questions and not to get clarification. And then we grow up into individuals who can't make good decisions and can't communicate because we were never allowed to communicate. But that's another story.
Oh boy, you're gonna be a regular on the show, baby. Look, hey, I think that piece right there is vitally important. But I think that it also speaks to those that adopted that old school way of parenting, right? And where there's no respect owed to these children, right? And let me qualify that. So when you just talked about it, when as we were being raised, we didn't have a voice, right? Because that's a lack of respect when you tell a person that shut the blank up and do what I say and don't ask why.
What you sad about.
Right.
You ain't got
you
nothing
better
to
put
be
a smile on your
about.
face. Right. Think about how confusing that is emotionally. You done got your ass whooped. And then
you better not cry.
And you better smile. And you better put a smile on your face like, damn, I'm happy for his ass whooping. Thank you. Right. That's some crazy ass shit though, right? And that's what we grew up with. Man, I can't wait to get Kirkwood over here too. Talk about
and then we're gonna go another
We're already in the rabbit hole. We're already in the rabbit hole.
But then there's another line with that. There's a lot at adults, or whatever, or children. They use it as a form of manipulation too. It's like, so how as a parent do you say, okay, is there really truth? And you have to self-reflect because kids do be manipulators.
Yeah.
They learn manipulation quite early.
They come out manipulative.
Thank you. They and don't be
don't be in
two different households. It could be a manipulating central. Okay, so kids just manipulate. So it's just we don't like to use that word because
we think that it's a negative connotation, but it's not. Manipulation is a word with no emotions. We attach emotions to it. But babies come here and they learn to do what they need to do to get their needs met. Is that not manipulation?
I ain't even never thought about it like that.
It's up to us
so
to
when
teach
they cry,
them to do it in a positive way.
Yes, that my daughter cries with her daddy like a crazy person.
Wow.
She knows he's gonna get away with me. She might want to wrap it up.
See, you making it negative still.
They do, but they use manipulation sometimes to not have self-accountability. So it's like a whole difference. Like they rather blame somebody else than look at self.
Right.
Because I know parents that have given children. I've been in the house for transparency. 5 children. Everybody has given the same access, the same opportunities. You talk about anybody in my community, and one of my brothers think my dad is the most horrible person that walked the earth. I'd be like, who? It's like these stories made. It's really weird. It's
his
like
perception is different.
Very. I'd be like, who?
But there's merit to his perception. It's not you though, Angelika. It's him. Your perception is different than what his is.
Right.
Everybody besides him.
Right.
Well, I mean, that don't make him.
Yeah, I don't know the dad.
But you don't know what all happened with him and the dad. Is he older than you? Okay.
Yeah.
I got up off the couch.
I'm the baby. I'm the baby.
Come on. Doctor.
Excuse me. I'm the baby, but the mama of the family. Everybody will tell you. My brother is like 1 year. We always laugh at age.
Girl?
No, she got a twin.
I'm identical twin. I got an older sister. I got 2 brothers.
So you the baby by some seconds or something?
By hours.
Fix it, doctor.
Hours. Mama had me by C-section.
Kojak been biting and he never bites
he
at the bit
He don't never say nothing. Let me just let him talk.
I'm just saying, I tell my kids, my younger one, you got a different daddy than the older one.
Yes.
That's before I finished, went back to college and got this here, got degrees and all that.
Yeah.
That's when I was in the club here. They got a different daddy.
Yeah. And to be fair, I don't know the circumstances, right? Our children get different versions of us based off of age, but also off of personality. Like I have 2 and I love them equally, right? But there are things about my son that I enjoy and there are things about my daughter that I enjoy. We just do things differently. So I'm sure, and they're different. My son is going to describe me much more different than my daughter will. I'm sure. We both get on each other's nerves, right?
Yeah, he gonna start with my hand wasn't hurting. You making all this big deal when the mirror hit my hand. Right, he gonna be like, you making me look like a wuss out here.
Hey, I wasn't concerned about how he looked at that moment. I wanted to know where that was that hit my baby.
Right, right. He was about 9 back then, I think. He was a good kid too, though. Yeah, but listen, man, Dr. Futrell, tell everybody how they can get in touch with you because we want to send this business your way.
Okay.
Come on, get this bag, baby. Get the bag.
Okay, I'm going to share the number, but listen, not my personal number.
Oh,
no, ma'am. The business line. But it's easier to text me because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not good at picking up the phone.
Man,
I am working.
You have social media?
I do. I'm gonna share that as well. Okay, so my business number is 901-443-8895, and my practice is Gihon Counseling Solutions. We are on Poplar Avenue, right across from White Station High School. There are other therapists in my practice as well who can see individuals. My website is www.gihoncounseling.com. Gihon is Gihon. I am on Facebook under Gihon as well. I'm on Instagram under Gihon as well, or Dr. Naricia Futrell. I'm on TikTok under Dr. N Futrell. I'm on Threads. I don't know how to.
Do you do virtual appointments?
I do. Okay. I do virtual. Some of the other ladies in my office do virtual. Some of the ladies in my office do evening appointments and weekends as well. So we do a lot. We got, if it's possible, wherever you place this, I can give my LinkedIn account and that anybody can reach any of my services there, including yoga as well. So.
Oh, yeah, she be doing yoga and she be thirst trapping on there, but I ain't gonna say nothing. But look, I ain't gonna say nothing to the doctor, but I'll be watching. But I ain't gonna say nothing.
It's called marketing. Because once they see this story and then here you go right here. You ready for therapy?
Clickbait.
You ready to sign up for this yoga class?
How motivated you? You need some therapy?
Right. Man, y'all give it up for the good doctor in the building. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much.
You got a payment plan?
Oh, Lord. You take Advocate.
Put that, no. Okay.
All right, y'all. Look, we'll be right back, but don't go anywhere because this next segment, man, you got to hear our next guest. He is a retired police colonel with MPD, right? He is also a father, and he's also a pastor. So he's seeing it all from 3 different perspectives. And so when we come back, we're going to bring him to the stage. So don't go anywhere. Hit that subscribe button. You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
I can't say no to your job because I want to lose my mind with you. I can't say no to your love because I want to lose my mind with you.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Elise Neal. You are watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Powered by Black Market Strategies.